Greetings everyone, I'm Adam Haritan. In this video I want to share with you a tip that can help you improve your morel mushroom harvest in the spring season. Few, if any, field guides or websites or educators ever mention this tip. It's important that I mention it now because it has to do with the winter season, which is when I'm filming this video in western Pennsylvania. More specifically, this tip involves an indicator that's available during the winter season, and when we find it, we can come back in April and May and potentially find lots of morel mushrooms. So what is the indicator? Well, the indicator is another mushroom, and it's this little mushroom right here. This is velvet foot or velvet shank, the winter mushroom, Flammulina velutipes. Some people call it enoki, other people reserve the name enoki for the Asian species, Flammulina filiformis. Like Flammulina filiformis, the wild American species, Flammulina velutipes, is edible when cooked and it's tasty, so this is a great mushroom to forage during the winter season when conditions are mild and wet. Now here's why velvet foot is a great indicator for morels. Both mushrooms grow in association with similar trees. Not always, but many times this is the case. In my experiences, velvet foot almost always grows on dead elms, mostly on dead American elms, but also on dead slippery elms. Now morels don't grow directly on dead elm trees, but you will often find certain species of morels growing terrestrially within the vicinity of dead or dying elms. So I should mention that the morel mushroom isn't a single species. Worldwide, over 60 species exist within the Morchella genus. Clearly, not every morel species grows in association with elms, but around here in the mid-Atlantic, Great Lakes, eastern temperate ecosystems of North America, the association is strong. Now, velvet foot, Flammulina velutipes, grows in association with other trees. It's not exclusively faithful to the ulmus or elm genus. Other tree hosts include but aren't limited to box elder, white ash, and green ash. As it turns out, some morel species will grow in habitats where box elder, white ash, and green ash grow. Now you might be thinking to yourself, instead of looking for velvet foot mushrooms, which are small and not always available, wouldn't it be better if we look for the host trees instead? Trees are larger, they're more conspicuous, they're perennial. We can look for them any time of the year. If that's what you're thinking, you make a good point, and I do strongly encourage you to learn how to identify trees and how to recognize trees from a distance. But let's say you are not paying attention to trees on a particular walk through the woods, and you come across a huge flush of velvet foot. If the mushroom catches your eye first, make note of that spot. See which trees are in that particular habitat and come back during the spring season, and you may be pleasantly surprised to see morels. And I'll admit, even as an identifier of trees myself, I've walked through habitats without realizing American elms were growing there until I'd see huge flushes of velvet foot mushrooms, and then I'd soon become conscious of several scattered American elms growing throughout the area. Another reason to use velvet foot as an indicator is if you are a much better identifier of mushrooms than trees. Maybe you rarely pay attention to tree identification. You're just not that good at it, and when looking for mushrooms, you just notice general tree distinctions, like broad-leaved trees versus conifer trees. In these instances, it would benefit you to pay attention to your velvet foot hotspots because chances are good that the velvet foot mushrooms you're finding are growing in areas that also support morels. Now, if you've never found this mushroom before and you're watching this video thinking to yourself, how in the world do I identify velvet foot? Well, I encourage you to consult various field guides and websites and videos, but very briefly I'll provide a few key identification tips based on what I've observed. Velvet foot grows directly on wood and usually in dense clusters, and in eastern North America the species grows autumn through spring. The cap is typically orangish brown to reddish brown, and its texture is slimy and sticky when fresh. The underside of the cap contains white to whitish yellow, closely spaced gills that are directly attached to the stipe or stem. The stipe is, no surprise, often velvety, especially near its base. The spore color is white. I encourage you to learn how to differentiate between velvet foot and the deadly Galerina. The deadly Galerina is toxic. It's less likely to grow in dense clusters, it contains a partial veil on its stipe, and its spore color is rusty brown. I have a detailed video on the differences between the two species. I encourage you to watch it, You can find the video on YouTube or on my website, learnyourland.com. Finding velvetfoot is a rewarding activity itself. It gets you outside, it exposes you to cold temperatures, it connects you to your local food base. It may offer medicinal benefits, but it can also clue you into a secret that field guides and websites and educators rarely mention. This mushroom is an excellent indicator of prime morel habitat. When you find velvetfoot mushrooms, pay attention. There's a good chance that directly under your feet, morel mycelium is there, patiently waiting just a few more months before swelling up with water and giving rise to those above ground fruiting structures we eagerly seek during the spring season. Thank you so much for watching this video. I truly appreciate it. I encourage you to subscribe to the Learn Your Land YouTube channel and to head on over to learnyourland.com and sign up for the email newsletter. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you on the next video.